All right, so there has been a verdict reached in the Diddy trial, and he was acquitted on the most serious of charges. So this is really crazy and unexpected for many people, but anyone that's been keeping up with the case will know that it seems like the prosecution overreached. And so even folks that are looking at this right now, so let's just go over what was officially he got convicted of and what he didn't, right? So basically, they rejected the RICO trial. That was the heaviest sentence in terms of what he was potentially going to be going away for. The RICO is a racketeering charge designed for the mob, and it is a serious offense. They found him not guilty of that. The way they tried to frame it was if you're guilty of two of these five charges, he's guilty of a RICO. That is not what the jury found. They didn't find him guilty of that, right? So it says the rapper was acquitted of the most serious charges against him, racketeering and trafficking that could have landed him in prison for life. He was found guilty of transportation to engage in prosts. Say it that way so we don't get ethered.
Chris said getting Diddy found guilty of transportation to engage in prost is equivalent to like having a person deleter on trial, but then they only get found guilty of having an unregistered firearm.
That's
kind
of funny.
It's kind of like this is way worse than
he
just drove a car with some loose women.
Yeah, but people weren't keeping up, and there's a reason for this.
Okay,
there's reasons for this, right? Yeah. Diddy was accused of using his fame and fortune to run a decade-long criminal enterprise in which he controlled and manipulated his longtime girlfriend Cassie and others using violence, threats, forcing them into sexual fantasies, drug field. Okay, so here's and we'll look at some of the reactions to this, which are hilarious. Here's the thing: when this came out, the way this was framed, this is not me caping for Diddy. I think Diddy's a terrible person. I think he likely had something to do with the deletion of Tupac Shakur. But this is how this was framed. Diddy is Weinstein. Diddy is
the Black Epstein.
The Black Epstein.
Yeah.
Right? He's out here and there's just crazy people getting transported across state lines that are pulling up, and then Jay-Z is there, and Justin Bieber's there, and the whole industry.
And there's just a bunch of rooms with a bunch of weird, freaky stuff happening.
And they all got on masks and cameras, and it's like, that's how this was framed initially when this was coming out. So be like, who all was a part of this? Yeah. Who was connected to this? And then as the story builds, you discover that the dude was just a pervert. Like, he was a pervert cuck.
Yeah. Do you think that's it?
I think
you don't think it's the first thing still?
No, not in this case. There was two people. Two people. Cassie, which we all knew about, and another woman, which 50 Cent had already exposed because it was one of his child's mothers, that were both paid and both benefited and both consented multiple times towards these activities.
Okay.
And so the activities are heinous. He's an awful human being. But was he Epstein Islanding people? Was there dozens and dozens of people that were getting moved around? Women? No, he was into some, and there's a takeaway here. There's a really practical takeaway here. Okay. He was on some weirdo stuff, and that's what he was into. And he wasn't pimping people out. He wasn't doing any of this sort of stuff. That's not what the actual jury found to be guilty.
Okay, I have a.
All right.
How convenient that the billionaire figured out a way to minimize this crazy, crazy story. Don't you feel like there's a little bit of like some people were paid off, something happened behind the scenes where the prosecutors only landed with these two women with a bunch of nothing charges that like an NFL player would have on accident?
Whose fault is that?
I'm saying
that's the fault of the prosecution.
No, but what I'm saying is that like could the billionaire be moving?
Sure.
Behind the scenes.
I'm talking about the case. I'm not talking about what could be happening. I'm talking about the case. I'm talking about the way this went viral.
Yeah.
Was that there was hundreds of people suing this dude.
Yeah.
Hundreds. When it actually turned into a federal indictment, remember, the FBI has infinite resources.
Yeah.
There was two.
So what I'm saying is,
yes, it's possible. Anything is possible. We don't know. I'm saying the L in this is on the FBI overcharging him and trying to go harder than they had evidence for. Was he guilty of domestic violence? Yes. Was he guilty of probably some degree of SA? Probably to some degree. Was he racketeering a criminal enterprise like the mafia?
I think he was.
To get people, to traffic multiple people to do this stuff. Not when you have people on record consenting. Cassie was on record calling these prostitutes herself, making the arrangements, transferring of the funds. The other girls, same thing. So what I'm saying is this is an overcharge. This was an overcharge by the federal prosecution. They did not have the evidence. A jury of 12 people finds you innocent of the worst charges. They overreached. They played themselves. They were too ambitious in the, they were too ambitious in this.
You're about to do a godly ambition plug?
Yeah, I was going to do a godly ambition. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, no, I think you're probably right. I still believe all the first things.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm just saying what's probable behind the scenes and what was proven in court are not the same things.
Yes, yeah.
So what happened was they claimed certain things. They came with specific charges.
Yep.
And then when the jury looked and saw the charges and saw the things that he was accused of, they came to the conclusion that he did not, go back to the article, he did not commit the worst of the article, the charges.
Yep.
Now, that may make people uncomfortable because we all know he's an awful human.
But what I'm saying is the Justin Biebers,
Again,
what's the dancing guy?
I don't know what that is.
He's really famous. And then Diddy took him under his wing when he was a teenager.
Usher.
Boom.
Yeah. So again, you have to prove this in court. None of these people wanted to testify. None of these people wanted to come forward. So it's not about what happened. It's about what you can prove in court.
Totally.
They were not able to prove any of this in court.
Yeah.
There
was a Tupac thing though.
Right. So what I'm telling you is,
so he's a nice innocent man.
It's possible.
He's a nice innocent man with some troubled women around him.
Legally,
let him free.
Well, I mean, listen. Let's just be honest for a second. Trump is accused of the same things. Trump paid off people of the same things.
I put a Trump voice on now. We got to make it political.
I'm just saying. You got to have just scales in these things. You can't be like, yo, Diddy probably did worse. And it's like, dog, Trump lost civil cases.
For what?
For this sort of behavior.
For the Cassie stuff?
For this sort of behavior. Anyone could look this up.
Yes,
he lost a judgment. Okay. Do you understand? So you can't be like, and then like, but I'm cool with the president. Like, these powerful men, most of them are depraved, bro. Most of them have a sickness with this sort of stuff. If you think Tate is innocent, but you think Diddy's a scumbag, I think you have unjust scales. I'm saying this is the cognitive dissonance that people go into. And so it becomes about, well, who am I a fan of? And then I'll look past the other way for these other things. And I'm saying multiple powerful men have done heinous things with women that involved SA.
Yep.
They did not find him guilty of S trafficking. That was the most serious charge. They did not find him guilty of the racketeering, and it was another sexual. What they found him guilty of was basically the prostitutes, the bringing dudes over. So this is what the breakdown is. So not guilty of racketeering, not guilty of S trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion against Cassie. So what they're basically saying is that she was into this. She wanted this. She was complicit.
Yeah.
She was initiating some of this. And there is records to prove that.
Yeah.
There is records to prove text messages, all kinds of stuff of her saying, I can't wait till the next time. I want to do this. Her initiating the conversations with the prostitutes. Her escalating from like a dance to like, hey, do you want to finish? You know what I mean? Like that sort of stuff. Like she initiated that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So not guilty in that sense. Guilty of transportation for prostitution, that he's guilty of that, right? Not guilty of sex trafficking by force, coercion against Jane Doe. This is 50 Cent's baby mama, right? Who was getting paid, had all her bills taken care of, and she was on staff as he was a sugar daddy. That's like how this comes out. This comes out. He was a sugar daddy who was a deviant, who was into cuckery, and was a perverted dude.
So you don't believe the freak offs happened?
They definitely happened.
Okay,
you understand? That's not what the charges are.
Yeah. But like, remove yourself from like the facts.
I'm sorry. I want to deal in facts.
Okay.
And we're talking about the case. We're not talking about his character. I'm talking about the case.
Yeah. What I'm saying is it's hard to read the not guilty and be like, he's just a deviant guy. It's like, well,
so where's the line? This is what you get into. The line between consensual, attending an orgy, freak off, versus someone is forced against their will to be there. Yeah. That's what they were actually charged with. That's what the evidence was presented with. Right? And then the last one is transportation. So he's found guilty of the transportation of prostitutes on his side. That's what that is what he was found guilty of, which is the lesser of the charges. They're saying 1 to 10 years max. He already did a year. He's going to be off. He's going to get off.
Yeah.
And they're saying
it's not the last time.
And they're saying he might get a pardon from your boy.
He's just my president. He's your president.
He's my president.
Biden was my president. Biden was your president.
Yeah.
Kamala was almost my president.
Kamala was almost our president. So,
and who knows what they did?
So they're saying that that's a possibility, that he could get a pardon. He can get a pardon from Trump.
Why would Trump do that?
Because they were homies back in the day.
Oh.
They were homies back in the day. Trump could feel like he was unjustly prosecuted. They try to make an example of this dude. They try to make an example of him. If there's only 2 people involved and both of these people were initially in consensual relationships with him.
Yeah.
And he was into the stuff he was into.
Okay.
This is not what this was framed as.
Okay. Steel man the other side.
There's been murmurings of Diddy for decades. He's been having these parties happening for decades. There are 100 people that have filed civil cases, some of which have gotten thrown out, some of which seem credible. Those are going to play out in court. There's been some stuff dropped, but there's some stuff that seems credible. And it is likely that when you're dealing with scale of that number, someone could have been forced to be there against their will. Here's the takeaway. You ready for the takeaway?
Yeah.
Throughout this whole process of his deviancy, he's consistently professed faith in God. He's consistently publicly prayed. He's consistently even went to church. He's consistently been close to a guy like T.D. Jakes, who also got dragged into some of this stuff because he showed up to his party. Guys like Lecrae, who've been at a Diddy party, got dragged into some of this stuff, right? Just the optics of it.
Yep.
Here's the takeaway. If you're professing this sort of, if you're a professor of faith in God and Jesus,
okay,
and you have these unchecked areas of your life, those will escalate and become more and more depraved as you get more status and power and money. So you go from just wanting the hottest woman to wanting
all the women,
to then women aren't even interesting no more. You want to see someone else do it to your woman, to then you want to have it multiple times a week. So then dudes. You want multiple. That's what I'm saying. And then you start getting into the dudes, and this is how this sort of stuff escalates.
And then the age number needs to get lower.
All kinds of craziness, right? This is the depravity of sin when it is no longer, you need something more novel. You need something more interesting. You need something more over the top. That is what this can lead to for many people. This isn't uncommon, by the way. I'll give you an example. Ready for an uncomfortable example? You ready?
Yeah.
How many times have we heard about a person dealing with corn? They start with regular stuff. It gets more and more extreme. And then before you know it, they're sliding into all kinds of stuff. And now take that person, the person that's watching the most deviant stuff and give that person $1 billion and fame. How do you think they're going to behave?
Just like Diddy.
I don't know. Maybe worse.
Maybe Epstein.
Right? Here's 50 Cent's response.
Yeah.
Diddy beat the feds. That boy, a bad man, beat the Rico. He that gay John Gotti.
It's amazing. Wow.
But yeah, man, listen, I think people underestimate how far sin, specifically sexual sin, will take them. I think people underestimate that. And I think and
$1 billion.
You start looking at normal stuff, and then before you know it, you're into some weird stuff. And this is, I've seen this stuff confessed in groups. I've seen people go from, I was just into this to now I'm into this to now I'm watching webcams to now I'm spending money on these people and I'm broke.
Chills.
I'm not let this be a cautionary tale that if you're dabbling in some of this weird stuff, if you're you got the little pet sin in your closet you think no one knows about, that thing can turn into a tiger really quickly.
That's very true.
And the difference between you and Diddy becomes $1 billion, immense access to fame, and staff that will let you do this sort of stuff.
Come on, somebody.
So pull up the reaction outside of the courtroom. This is stupid. Yeah, shout out to Bo. Sin will take you farther than you want to go, keep you longer than you want to stay, and cost you more than you want to pay. People start pouring baby oil outside of themselves in the courtroom.
Just zest monsters.
Just zest monsters. Yes. So they started celebrating by pouring baby oil after the verdict came down outside of the courtroom. Okay, turn.
He got that pandemic stash.
The pandemic stash.
Yeah, he had 1,000 bottles of baby oil.
Oh,
that's like he was stocking up. Don't come to Ruslan just for a happy-go-lucky video about Diddy. He's gonna be like, y'all got Diddy in you too. You disgusting little monsters.
I'm saying I think we underestimate.
You just broke Diddy's.
I'm just saying I think we underestimate these things, man. I think we underestimate, and so it's really easy to look at someone and be like, yeah, bad guy, villain.
I mean,
it's really easy to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying, is there a redemptive arc for him? That's my question.
No, this is what Disrupted Church was saying.
I'm not saying he's like a good guy. I'm just saying, is there any way optically for him to come back from this?
No, there's no way optically.
Okay.
No, his brand is toast. That's it.
His brand is toast. You think he's done?
It's the same reason like my age thinks of Michael Jackson as a pedophile and not as like the king of pop.
That's a fair point.
Who's just a weird, scary pedophile.
He is.
That's all I could envision. And so he's cooked.
He's cooked.
Yeah. So same with Diddy.
What about on a personal level?
Is there a redemption for Diddy on a personal level? Yeah. No.
You don't think he can come back to Jesus?
Mm-mm.
Jeez.
I think he needs to go to prison to come back to Jesus.
Well, he's going to go to prison.
He needs to go to prison for life.
He's going to prison.
He needs to go to prison for life. He needs to be like, this is it. This cell is it. And it's just me, my thoughts, and the Lord. And this book cart that they bring around every 3 days.
Here's the thing. I don't think he needs to go to prison for life for something that they weren't able to prove. Like that's the
I don't think so either.
Yeah.
I think he needs to go to prison life to come back to Jesus.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
You see what I'm saying? I think
strip everything from him.
He's like, I got 5 years. That's light work.
You're not saying that would be justice. You're saying
I'm saying that's
in
what
order for him to have an encounter with the Lord, he'd have to be in
as a being, as a human being, needs to just have complete restriction for the rest of his life with no eligibility of parole to be like, I should probably find something else.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Wait, so there wasn't proof of him hurting women? Well, that's a different charge, Kevin. So yes, there was proof, but that's not what they charged him with. See, again, it's like most people weren't keeping up. So anyone that's kept up with this would be like, oh yeah, like some of this stuff was a stretch. You know, some of the stuff was a stretch. It's hard to say somebody was trafficked when there's a mountain of evidence saying them consenting and initiating the things they're claiming they were trafficked of.
Hello.
That's the tricky part. Now, was he a scumbag? Was he an awful person? Was he someone that committed domestic violence? Absolutely, 100%. You can't deny that. They didn't charge him with domestic violence.
Do you think jurors involved with cases like this leave feeling so socially disrupted? Like, it's easy to be a bystander, and like if you go on Twitter right now or X, it's all just like, those jurors are the worst, yada yada yada. But like if you're the actual juror and you have to make a decision based off the evidence, and you're like, well, it actually points this way. I never thought I would say this about Diddy, but like it points this way.
Yeah.
And then you leave being like, oh man, how many times have I seen cases and just thought like, oh, it's rigged, it's the system, it's billionaires. And at the end of the day, you're like, oh, it's just people that have to analyze the evidence.
You gotta look at what they've been given.
Yeah.
And the evidence that they were given. What was not evidence of what people were propagating on social media, that there was these massive parties with hundreds of people and videos of these random celebrities at these things doing heinous things.
Where are the videos? I still think they're there, but where are they?
The videos that they showed the jury, the videos remember, they seized everything. there were videos of the things they charged him with. So the videos were what the jury concluded were consenting adults doing things that they were into, doing things that they wanted to do to please their boyfriend. That's what the videos were of that they showed the jury. They have videos. That's what they showed the jury.
Are we making a case for making sex outside of marriage illegal?
Yeah, I'm totally down for that. I'm so down for that. It's odd to me that it seems that most celebrities get away with this all the time. Not saying he's 100% guilty or he's not guilty, but it's odd. Yeah, I mean, sure. Most celebrities get away with all kinds of crazy things, right? What do you mean there wasn't proof of him hurting women? There's a video of him. I never said there wasn't proof of him hurting women. I didn't say that. I said there was proof of him committing domestic violence. Mm-hmm. Did they charge him with domestic violence?
They did.
No, yeah. I'm asking. Oh. Nobody knows. Everyone has a hot take about something no one kept up with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you can't not keep up with a case and be like, well, it's like, yes, there was video evidence of him assaulting her. That's not evidence of him, what's it called?
Doing off.
Yes, it's not evidence of trafficking.
Yeah.
These things are different. So that's the thing is like, you can't start with the presupposition that he's a villain and then think that the evidence will conclude you there. That's not how truth works. That's not how court cases work. That's not how the legal system works. So there's a difference between like Diddy's character and like what can you prove in court?
You know the difference between Diddy and Trump?
What's that?
Trump gave us a $5,000 baby credit.
Did he pass that?
I'm just kidding. I don't know. I don't know if he did. But you know what I'm saying? Like you know what it is? It's like Trump is when he's working for at least a certain group of people. Uh-huh. Then there's like but then like Diddy's just like living in his own hedonism and doing the darkness. Yeah. All
right, guys, we got to get out of here. Love you guys for hanging out. Here's some more information about the Blessed God Summit. And we'll be back tomorrow. Main channel video dropping soon. We'll see you on the main channel. So yeah, we'll be back tomorrow. Love you guys.
What do Wes Huff, KB from Southside Rabbi, Ninjas of Butterflies, Josh Nadeau all have in common? They're all going to be with me live at Blessed God Summit 2026 here at the Seabird Resort in Oceanside, California, while we're right on the water. Now, those of you guys that attended the first Blessed God Summit, the 400 of you, we heard you loud and clear. We're keeping the prices the same at a nicer resort. The lineup is going to be even more incredible. We're bringing back some of the speakers and we're even renting out the Oceanside Amphitheater for the most incredible night of music and outreach. My man Dustin Tavella, who won America's Got Talent, is coming back, and an additional lineup of performers that are all going to be performing here at the Oceanside Amphitheater the final night of the Blessed God Summit. We heard your requests. The kids' tickets ages are going up. The resort is even nicer. We won't be sitting down as much. We'll be out networking. Some of the sessions will even be outside on the water, all with the vision of leaning into worldview, virtue, and impact. March 5th, 6th, and 7th here in Oceanside, California. Blessed God Summit. Go to blessedgodsummit.com and get your tickets now.
I decided to just come, not really knowing what to expect, and man, I'm so glad that I did.
You don't expect it to be so intimate, and so like the group of people that was there, I think it was great. We were able to see people who are truly seeking God. We got to see a ton of people who are special, and we'll call it in the industry.
One of our major takeaways has just been how God blesses in you being faithful. A lot of Christians just want to chase after success instead of chasing faithfulness.
I think it's just been really effective how like everybody has been teaching you how they've been able to like follow Jesus and make disciples as they're going.
It's a really classy summit. I am just very impressed with the quality and the structure, and just a very classy, very nice.
As much as like we can get so much from online content, there's a huge difference between being here. None of these people are egotistical. They'll shake hands with you.
I did the sponsorship back in November and just left it in God's hands and just prepared myself, if he allowed it, that I would be here. Here I am.
People that you're gonna meet are amazing.
You're gonna meet friends here, and you're also gonna be edified.
I'm honestly amazed at the diversity and the need.
It's a super fun time, so you guys are not gonna want to miss out.